All right, it's been a while since we've done this. We have been on, I think, like a week and a half of a hiatus from recording these episodes. And admittedly, the past week and a half has been quite difficult on the lucidity front. And the prime reason for that is quite obvious. It's because one of my friends visited from out of the country, and I basically spent most of my time showing my friend around and hanging out with them. So that's why it was very difficult. But still, part of me is thinking that that shouldn't be a reason why I can't find some time for myself and just reflect. It doesn't take that long, maybe about 10 to 20 minutes. And so I do feel a little disappointed that I didn't even try. But at the same time, for this one, I'm not going to be too hard on myself. I think where I want to be hard on myself is the fact after my friend left, there was about 4 to 5 days. Today would be the 5th day, where I was pretty distracted and unproductive. I basically became the way I was right after I came back from Japan, where I would binge anime, and this time, I guess because I've deleted the game permanently, the gacha game that I would play a lot of back then, I ended up watching like a lot of YouTube videos, just like a rabbit hole of different videos. A lot of them involving politics, stuff that's coming up for the election and whatnot. But at this point, I have been thoroughly informed, and I feel like I don't need anything else to distract myself with. Basically, if I keep engaging in it, it's all I'm doing is getting emotional over it. The best I can do right now is just try to stay informed if anything new comes up, and help inform other people if they welcome that information. And basically just try to inform anyone that's close to me, because those are the people that would actually listen. So regarding that, continuing would be pointless, and I am realizing that, but in the first place, I shouldn't even have engaged in that much content consumption. But I'm learning that after periods of time where I go out a lot and I take a break from it, right when that break starts, the transition, I feel like I'm not in control of my higher functions. My decision-making processes are absolutely drained and terrible during that time. And I think it's up to these moments where I am lucid to safeguard against those future moments, because they will happen again. So I need to come up with like a good plan for it. And a simple one to try my best to do is to make sure that I just don't consume any content like the days following a either very eventful weekend or a trip with friends or something like that, because those are usually the most vulnerable times. And of course, my natural self, it's not just going to abide by that rule during those moments. So what I'm going to try to do for the future one is inform a friend or two about the situation and to just check up on me. This is something I mentioned before, but I did mention it to a friend, but I didn't quite continuously do it. Like I was good for a good week or something after telling my friends about checking in and stuff, but it was just one friend, but not good enough to sustain. So it has to be a system. I have to create a system around it. But I think one of the biggest sources of my issues right now in general is just being distracted overall, half-assing things in terms of what I can and cannot do. I think what I did with the gacha game, where I completely deleted it, was the right move, because that's not a half-assed move. That's something where I permanently changed something in the environment that can never do me harm again, that can never distract me again. So now I'm thinking of ways I can apply that to something like perhaps YouTube or content consumption in general. I think back last year, about 6 or 7 months ago, when I fully decided to just cut it off completely and was successful for, I'd say, like about 15 to 20 days straight with no content consumption whatsoever. That was like a really, really great period in my 2023, where I just felt like super productive and like fully lucid. And to me, it's kind of crazy that it took me this long after coming back from Japan. And even in Japan, like I didn't do much of watching anything. The only thing I did watch was anime, and that was because I was trying to practice Japanese. And it was also very infrequent. I do think that being able to allow myself to do certain things like watch the animes I want to watch, read the books I want to read, watch the movies I want to watch, and so on is an overall net positive, but only if it's managed well, and right now it isn't. And not only is it not managed well, it basically is taking over my life and making it a lot harder to get things started again. Like I haven't even looked into the stuff that is my main goal, which is trying to get back to Japan. I haven't looked into visas. I haven't looked into like job stuff, and it's just crazy. It's been 2.5 months, bordering on 3 now, and yeah, it's amazing to me how much time can pass while I'm just being an idiot, like trying to figure things out when I haven't even started the main stuff. To be fair to myself, I have been good with certain habits, like we reset doing the 100 days of 100 push-ups. Basically, I finished 30 days, and in that period of time, I did 16 out of 30, and it's like 4 times in a week, which is not bad. And then now that I'm basically calling it phase 2 and doing another 30 days, and once I hit phase 3 plus 10 days, it'll be 100. But for this phase 2 so far, we've done 4 in a row, which is really solid, and they are easier, as well as pull-ups, 50 pull-ups each day. They are easier again. And I have been practicing a good amount of piano, which is good since piano is one of my also passions. So at least for those 2 things, I have been making some progress that I have not made in Japan because I didn't. I could have exercised if I really, really wanted to, but I just walked around a lot, so I considered that good enough, but honestly, it's not. I think having strength training is very important, at least for me. And then the piano thing, that's just access to piano. I've talked about this before, but I am glad, and I want to give myself credit where credit is due. I'm not trying to just bash myself completely. I have at least done those things consistently so far, and I've done them better. But for the other stuff that are also main stuff, I guess there's like 3 main things: the exercise, piano, and then the main goal of getting back to Japan, which includes like income projects and things related to money, I suppose, because that's the main barrier. That's been stagnant completely, and I think that is unacceptable at this point in time. Anyways, we are so off structure. We created a structure that we wanted to use the last time we talked about it, but had an episode. But it's been a while, and I just wanted to catch myself up in terms of everything. The week was good. When my friend visited, we explored places in LA, places surrounding that, and just, I guess some touristy spots and non-touristy spots that I frequently visit. So that was a good experience, my friend said. So I'm glad that I could actually give my friend a good experience for the visit. And then after that, I had a film shoot that I was part of. It's just a short film thing that my friend is paying me to do sound for, and I thought that was overall a good experience. There was some cool stuff that was used on set that I enjoyed seeing. And then from there, what happened the past 4 days yesterday was actually productive, but today was not. And then, so today's Friday, and yesterday was Thursday, so that's like 1 day out of the 5 weekdays that were productive, which is, like I said, quite unacceptable. But again, I did restart my habits after my friend left, so partly productive. But if I just look at the source, it's so obvious to me. It's like what I'm spending most of my time on is watching stuff like that I don't need to be watching. It's not, I am learning a few things, sure, and I'm gaining some value out of it, sure, but like at this point in my life, I don't need to be like watching that much anime. Like I really don't. And I've seen so much good stuff already that has inspired me. Like I am inspired already. I don't need to just constantly keep watching more stuff. Especially some of the things that I do watch, they're not that great. So I have dropped a lot of them, but it's time to just, like I don't need that excuse in the back of my head and be like, oh, balance. I need like balance. Sometimes I need to watch stuff that I enjoy. Just let's try to create that balance by saying, oh, no watching on weekdays, and then you can watch on weekends, that's fine. But then that just makes it like, that just gives my brain an out. It gives my brain something to latch onto in saying like, oh yeah, so we're going to go back to it. We're going to watch it again and like go into that state of sort of not thinking at all, like a brainless state. And I think I pretty much despise that state of me, like the non-lucid state. That's the whole reason I started this, is to try to be as lucid as possible, to try to make all the actions that I do intentional. And I feel like the chemistry of my mind and my body and my whole like way of living right now is messed up. It's just like my normal is to be watching those things, and that should not be my normal I feel like what it should be is the opposite. I should be in a normal state where I'm not watching those things. I'm being productive with everything else. And then it's like, I need to like find time to try to watch those things because like to actually try hard to sit down and watch them. Like the opposite, you know, because right now it's so hard to do the main thing of, you know, looking into jobs and the Japan stuff. And it's like, I barely do it. I haven't done it actually, but it needs to be flipped around completely. Where it's like, that's my main thing. I should be doing it every day. And the other thing is like, yeah, I just don't watch anything. But like, I would like to occasionally. That should be the normal in my head. That's how it should be. But again, I know there's like a clear distinction between like, you know, certain things are way easier to do than others and give you instantaneous gratification, instant rewards, feels good to watch certain things versus actually sitting down and doing research and trying to do things you don't really fully understand or know how to do. That takes work and is much harder to do, obviously. But still, like the way I want to be, personally for me, is someone who's capable of flipping those things. So I think that's the goal right now, is to completely flip my normal. And then I feel like I will be fully lucid. I will be fully like happy and content with myself. Because right now I do still feel very upset at myself. I am much cooler than that one episode where I was like very pissed off at myself, but at the same time I'm like still very disappointed, and I'm still like, I'm just not surprised, I guess, because of my friend's visit, and I knew certain things would be derailed. And I'm glad that it only took about 4 days to get back on like lucid mode. So it's not terrible, but it's still not ideal. Ideally, I am constantly lucid. And I don't think that's a hard state to be in my opinion. It's really just the distractions. Like, I really think it's just the distractions. I believe this before, I believe this like on the first episode, I believe this now. And it's kind of crazy to me that I keep trying to like include the distractions in my life. Like, I think the all or nothing approach right now is the best approach, because if I try my best to make it nothing with these distractions, just eliminate all of them and just not even give myself the weekend to watch anything. Like, who cares at this point? Like, I don't give a shit about finishing that anime or whatever, even if I do think it's good. Like, it's that or my life, right? Which one should I choose? I know that's not like the actual reality of things. Like, I can still watch it and like be fine, but that's how I need to think, to actually push myself to flip the script, to actually flip the normal. It's like that one saying where you shoot for the stars and you land on the top of the mountain. Like, you kind of have to be extreme here. In my mind, this is how I need to approach it, in an extreme form, to actually make good progress with it and get good results from it. Because again, I do remember that period of time being really great, where I just cut it off completely. And you know, there was nothing that really forced that, you know, it was just a decision to cut it off completely. It would be as easy as just, you know, opening the internet browser and typing in YouTube and watching a video to kill that streak. But I managed to do it for more than 2 weeks, and it felt great. Like 2 to 3 weeks of just zero content consumption. And I feel like that is a very hard thing to do these days, like a very hard thing to do. I almost feel like a very low percentage of the world does that. That's not saying much because I really don't know the statistics, but I just feel like that's the general statement. Majority of people are probably consuming content constantly. Not constantly, but like every day. Don't want to exaggerate it too much. But yeah, it's time to redo that challenge, but actually finish it. That challenge was meant for 30 days, and I really can't remember how long I actually did it for. I remember doing it for at least 2 weeks, but I feel like it was closer to 3. Like, I remember the number 20 in my head. So I'm pretty sure it was 20 days at the very least. But again, I don't remember fully, and it doesn't matter at this point. What matters is I get back on it, and it should really be part of the 2-100 challenge, 100 days of clarity. I did make it a habit, but I guess I just didn't reinforce it, or I told myself, yeah, just weekdays, and then weekends I can do whatever. But that just hasn't been happening, and it's because I'm giving my brain like this sort of option to be distracted. It's like saying, yeah, it can still exist in my life. These distractions can still exist. But if I just declare that, no, they can't, like just don't do it, then that is enough for my brain to just change, for me to just not worry about it, for it to completely clear out, just like the game. And there's gonna be a time eventually when I do want to finally finish that one anime that I think is really, really good, or watch that movie that my friends say is really, really great or whatever. There will be a time when that happens. But I think at the very least, out of my entire life, just for 30 days, this 30-day challenge, I can completely cut it off. Just 30 days. And I think once I reach that 30 days, I'm gonna realize, like I did last time, how amazing it is to just live a life this way without everyday content consumption. And then once I realize that, I'm gonna do the 30-day challenge again to 100. And the whole point of to 100 is to gain like this almost superpower of like, all right, I'm exercising constantly, I'm practicing piano constantly, which is my passion. I'm working on my main thing constantly. I'm being healthy with my diet because I'm drinking a lot of water, and I in general don't eat a lot of junk food. So and just like all the things coming together, like keeping my mind clear as well. And from there, I am like able to actually shape the way I am, the way I want to, because I created these habits. That's the whole point of to 100. And I think once in a while, in between those like sort of those phases, I guess, I can have like one rest day or something like that, 1 or 2 rest days. Like even for the 100 push-ups and the 50 pull-ups thing, like there are days where I'm just forced to rest. But as for the content consumption, there are not days where I'm forced to rest at all, because it's a negative thing. It's not like something I'm trying to do. It's the opposite. It's something I'm trying not to do. So if I actually watch stuff, it has to be very, very intentional. So once the 30 days are over, that's when I'm like, okay, I'll decide from there, like what is the amount I can do it for, like probably just 1 to 2 days after that challenge is over to catch up on stuff, and then back at it again. Phase 2, another, what can I say, another 30 days. And I think because this one is a bit, I started late basically, honestly, I think I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. Like that is the whole point of this. I know I'm calling it to 100 to make like 100 days and make a video regarding that, but like really, I'm gonna try doing it my whole life, like 100 push-ups for like a year or whatever. 1 year of not consuming much content at all. Of course, I'm gonna have those caveats where I'm like, oh yeah, I rested that day, and oh yeah, I did take 2 days in between 30-day periods to like watch whatever. But honestly, like that's fine. I think most people would be like, that makes a whole lot of sense to do. At the very least, you're still retaining some of what you want to do in your lazy state and feel good about and consume the shows that you like and whatnot. Because like most people, I'm pretty sure, don't want to completely kick that stuff out of their life. But yeah, I think that is everything I wanted to say. I think in my mind, this is going to be overall pretty easy, but I will have some challenges along the way. It's not as simple as deleting the game and knowing that it's gone forever because I deleted all the data. Although I have erased all my like YouTube history and paused the history so that they don't recommend me any videos. I thought that would help, and it did, but like I ended up just searching for specific channel creators constantly, and that kind of became the way I circumvented that. So ended up not really helping that much. So for the time being, I deleted those things off of my iPad, which is the main thing that I usually like watch YouTube on. So I think with that, it's at least a good indication, like, okay, pause there. But I do think YouTube will still be used to, watch tutorials for things that I need. That doesn't count as me consuming entertainment content, I suppose. Anything that's like a tutorial on how to fix my toilet or how to fix something, obviously I'm gonna still watch that stuff if I need it. So this isn't to do some kind of like never watch a single video in these 30 days type of thing. This is very intentionally for me clearing my head and mind and making sure that I'm not distracted. Like that is the whole purpose. It's not like me putting arbitrary rules about like not watching a video. So it's very, very clear to me like what I can and cannot do. Like if I'm wasting my time watching anything that's like entertainment or whatever, that's basically, it counts as me failing. All right, so there it is. Phase 2 is starting, and it's kind of strange because I think we're barely on like day 13 or something like that for the Luucidity stuff. That's because I have really dropped the ball with this one. That's crazy. Day 13, like 13 days of Luucidity out of 2.5 months, which is about 70 something days. That is a crazy bad record of, being lucid. But after a year or so, 70 out of 300 something isn't too bad, 365. And it's just a drop in the puddle once we reach like 2 years or 3 years or 4 years and so on. So the start is rough, but I think from here, we're on the right track. All right, time to take control of my life.